Hey there, and welcome to This Explainer. If you live in Arizona, or honestly, if you pay utility bills anywhere on the planet, you know the exact feeling I'm talking about. You open up your monthly statement, you look at that final number at the bottom, and you just think, wait a minute, no way. How did it get this high? Well, today, we're going to completely decode your monthly household expenses. We're going to walk through an Arizona bill audit to help you manage your budget, understand exactly what on earth you're paying for, and most importantly, pinpoint exactly where you might actually have the power to save some of your hard-earned money. So here's our game plan for today. First, we'll talk about the monthly bill shock. Then, Step 1, utility service charges. Step 2, taxes and surcharges. Step 3, telecom and cable. Step 4, beating those admin fees. And finally, your final bill audit.
All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, the monthly bill shock.
Man, we have all been there, right? You've been so careful. You're turning off the lights when you leave a room, keeping the thermostat at a totally reasonable temperature, maybe taking shorter showers. And yet, the bill arrives, and it just completely defies your expectations. It naturally leads to this core question: why is my bill so high? It's incredibly frustrating. As consumers, we experience what our source material perfectly describes as consumer surprise. We just kind of assume our bills reflect a really straightforward equation, right? Like what we consumed multiplied by a set rate. But then we look closer and see this absolute laundry list of line items, fees, and surcharges that we definitely don't remember signing up for.
Okay, let's dive into this, because here is the central truth from our source material that is going to empower our entire explainer today. The document states, quote, "Not all extra charges are overcharges. Arizona law allows many routine fees." Now, this is a huge paradigm shift. State laws and regulations actually authorize businesses and public utilities to include these specific charges. It's not a mistake. Once we realize this, we can stop feeling cheated and, start getting strategic.
Moving right along to Step 1, utility service charges.
That brings us to the first official phase of our audit. We are looking at the very foundation of your monthly electricity, water, gas, or sewer bill. So we're at the very beginning of our checklist, checking those basic services. When you pull up your utility bill, this is literally the very first section you need to train your eyes on.
Now, what's really interesting here is the visual contrast between our expectations and reality. It highlights the most common consumer blind spot. Our expectation is that we are only paying for our energy usage. Actually, scratch that. Most of us just assume that's the whole bill. But the reality? We're paying for usage plus fixed access fees. Arizona utility providers are legally allowed to charge basic service fees. These are just fixed monthly charges for simply having access to electricity, water, gas, or the sewer system. There are also connection and disconnection fees for starting or terminating service. Basically, it costs money just to be hooked up to the grid, regardless of whether you flip a single light switch all month. Understanding the separation is your absolutely crucial first step to an accurate budget.
Okay, next up, Step 2, taxes and surcharges.
This is where the bill starts to look like a total alphabet soup of acronyms and municipal codes. We are moving right along to Step 2 of our audit, verifying those tricky taxes. These are the complex, legally mandated add-ons that can actually vary depending on exactly which city and county you live in.
For example, you're likely going to see something called transaction privilege taxes. Now, a lot of residents experience consumer surprise here because, well, they assume taxes are just baked right into the base rate advertised by the utility company, but they aren't. Arizona utilities can and do pass state and local taxes directly on to customers as itemized, legally mandatory charges. This also includes municipal utility fees or energy infrastructure surcharges. Because these vary by location, two people with the exact same energy usage in totally different cities will have different final bills. Crazy, right?
And this brilliantly illustrates another major point of confusion: renewable energy surcharges. Our source notes that utilities in Arizona can include fees for environmental compliance or state-mandated renewable energy initiatives, like solar programs. The surprise for many consumers is that even if you personally don't have solar panels on your roof or directly use wind power yourself, part of your bill may legally be funding these statewide programs. It's a legal requirement reflected directly on your utility bill.
All right, shifting gears a bit to Step 3, telecom and cable.
Let's look at a different beast. Because if you think water and electric bills are confusing, internet and cable bills are just in a league of their own when it comes to added fees. When auditing your telecom bill, look out for things labeled franchise fees or regulatory fees. Now, a franchise fee is paid to local municipalities for the company's use of public rights-of-way.
Think of it like paying rent for running cables under your streets. Regulatory fees recover costs for compliance with federal or state rules. Customers often mistake these for hidden, sneaky vendor charges designed just to pad the company's profits. But again, these are legally allowed compliance costs simply being passed down to us, the consumers. Knowing they exist helps you evaluate the true total cost of your service before you even sign a contract.
Which brings us to the best part. Step 4. Beating admin fees.
So we have arrived at the climax of our explainer. Everything we've talked about so far has been legally mandated and pretty much largely out of your control. But this section, this is where you actually have the power to manage your budget and keep your own money. We are on the final, most actionable step of our audit, optimizing admin fees. Let's look at exactly what our source documents have to say about these controllable costs.
Wait, check out this section highlighted here regarding late fees and penalties. It clearly states that utilities and service providers can impose late payment fees after the due date. And honestly, so many people pay late fees entirely unknowingly. However, the law also requires that customers receive written notice before services are actually terminated. By paying close attention to your exact billing dates and understanding your dispute rights, you can completely eliminate these totally unnecessary penalties from your monthly budget. Now here's a massive area of consumer surprise. Notice how it says administrative and processing fees for certain services are legally permitted. A lot of us just assume that if we pay electronically or have an online account, boom, we are automatically eliminating all processing fees. But as the text shows, providers can still charge you under legal guidelines.
But here is the absolute biggest culprit. Paper bills can literally cost you extra money. The cost of printing, stuffing, and mailing that envelope to your house is regularly passed right on to you as a paper billing fee. If you're trying to cut expenses, assuming your current default billing setup is totally free of administrative fees is a really costly mistake.
So the crucial point is this: you must actively choose the most cost-effective options. Log into your accounts today and do this quick audit. Turn off paper billing to avoid those fees. Watch out for account setup fees when starting new services. And carefully choose your payment options. Sometimes paying by credit card incurs a payment method surcharge, whereas linking directly to a bank account might be completely free. Being aware of these specific fees gives you the power to just dodge them entirely.
And that leads us perfectly to our conclusion. Your final bill audit. Well, we have covered a lot of ground today, peeling back the layers of those monthly statements. I want to leave you with this final thought from our source material. Knowing which ones are legal helps residents understand, budget, and challenge only truly unlawful charges. And that is the ultimate goal here. When you know that basic service fees, transaction privilege taxes, and franchise fees are standard, you can stop wasting energy being frustrated by them. Instead, you can accurately budget for them, all while fiercely protecting your wallet against those avoidable late penalties, paper billing fees, and any actual unlawful overcharges.
So now it's your turn. I challenge you. Grab your most recent utility, internet, or cable bill right now. Apply the step-by-step audit we just went through. Look for the base fees, identify the taxes, and hunt down any of those avoidable administrative costs. What hidden fees will you find on your bill today? And more importantly, which ones are you going to eliminate? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and happy auditing.